Okay, so I want to make sure I make some progress in Mishnah Torah. So this is Sefer Ahava. This is the second book of the Mishnah Torah, and we are in Hilchot Tefillin, Mezuzah, and Sefer Torah. This is Perek Vav, so chapter 6. It says 10 conditions must be met in a structure if its resident is to be obligated to make a mezuzah for it. If any one of these conditions is lacking, it is exempt from the obligation of mezuzah. They are that its size is 4 cubits by 4 cubits or more, that it have 2 door posts on either side of the entrance, that it have a lintel, that the house have a ceiling, that it have doors, that the height of the entranceway be 10 handbreadths or more, that it is a house for mundane use to the exclusion of a synagogue, that it was made for human habitation, that it is an honorable habitation to the exclusion of a bathhouse, and that it be made as a permanent dwelling. So a house that does not measure 4 cubits by 4 cubits is exempt from mezuzah. But if its area would equal a square of 4 cubits by 4 cubits, if the sides were of equal length, then even if it is round or pentagonal, and it goes without saying if it was longer than it is wide, so rectangular, if its area would equal a 4 cubit by 4 cubit, the dweller is obligated to affix a mezuzah. An open porch, which is a place that has 3 walls and a ceiling, even if it has 2 pillars on the fourth side, it is exempt from mezuzah, as the pillars are only intended to hold up the ceiling and were not intended to serve as doorposts. So too a ceiling that has no walls and only stands on pillars on either side, although it may have the form of a house, it is exempt, as it has no doorpost, for these pillars are only made to hold up the ceiling. A house whose entranceway has a doorpost on either side, with an arch-shaped dome atop the 2 doorposts instead of a lintel. Instead of a lintel. If the doorposts have a height of 10 handbreadths or more, it requires a mezuzah. But if they are not 10 handbreadths tall, it is exempt, as it has no lintel. A house that has no ceiling is exempt from a mezuzah. If it is partially roofed and partially unroofed, it seems to me that if the roof portion is above the entrance, it requires mezuzah. The doors should be put up first, and then the mezuzah is affixed. The Temple Mount, its chambers, and its courtyards, and synagogues and study halls, which do not include a residence, are exempt, as they are sacred structures. A village synagogue that is used to house guests requires a mezuzah, as does a synagogue in a city if it includes a residence. All the gates of the Beit Hamikdash had no mezuzot except for the gate of Nicanor and the gate inside it, in the chamber of the Palhadren, the government appointees, the high priest chamber. For this office included a residence for the high priest during the 7 days of separation preceding Yom Kippur. So a hayloft, a cowshed, a woodshed, and a storehouse of wine or oil are exempt from mezuzah, as it states, your houses. A house used specifically for you, to the exclusion of these and those similar to them. Therefore, a cattle barn used by women for cosmetic purposes requires a mezuzah, for it is also intended for human habitation. A gatehouse, open porch, a garden gatehouse, or corral are exempt from mezuzah, for they are not intended for human residence. But if houses that require mezuzah are open to these places, they also require mezuzah. Therefore, the entry gates of courtyards, the entry gates of alleyways leading to several courtyards, and the entry gates to cities and towns all require mezuzot, for the houses which themselves require mezuzot are open to them. Even 10 houses which are accessed through each other, if the innermost requires a mezuzah, they all require mezuzah, which is why they stated that a gate that opens from a garden to a courtyard requires a mezuzah. A laboratory, bathhouse, mikveh, tannery, and similar structures are exempt from mezuzah, for they are not intended as a dwelling for a dignified use. A sukkah on the Sukkot holiday and a house built on a ship are exempt from mezuzah, for they are not intended as permanent housing. 2 workmen's booths, one accessed through the other, and the outer one is exempt from mezuzah, since it is not permanent. So too, shops at marketplaces are exempt from mezuzah, for they are not intended for use as residence. If a house has many entrances, even if one is only accustomed to going and coming through one of them, he must affix a mezuzah at every entrance. A small door between the ground floor and the upper floor requires mezuzah. Every room inside the house, even a room within another room, requires mezuzah at both the entrance of the inner room and at the entrance of the outer room, as well as at the entrance of the house, for they are all intended for habitation and are permanent. If there is an entryway between a study hall or a synagogue and one's house, if one usually goes and comes through that entryway, it requires a mezuzah. When there is an entryway between two houses, one follows the hinge of the door. The side where the hinges are visible is where the mezuzah should be affixed. So, where is the mezuzah affixed? Inside the space of the entryway, within a handbreadth of the outer edge of the doorpost, at the beginning of the upper third of the height of the entryway. If it was affixed higher than that, it is kosher as long as it is at least a handbreadth away from the lintel. It should be to the right of one entering the house. If one affixed it to the left, it is invalid. A house belonging to partners requires a mezuzah. One must be careful regarding the mezuzah, as it is a constant obligation for all. Every time one enters and leaves, he will be faced with a reminder of the unity of the name of Hashem. And I will remember the love due him and awaken from his slumber and his involvement with the vanities of the time. He will know that there is nothing that lasts forever besides the knowledge of the Creator of the world, and that will immediately return one to his senses. So he goes in the paths of justice. The sages stated that anyone who has tefillin on his head and arm, and tzitzit on his garment, and a mezuzah at his entryway, can presume that he will not sin, for he has many reminders, they being the angels who save him from sin, as it states, the angel of Hashem encamps around those who fear him and saves them. Blessed be Hashem who has assisted us. So that's the end of chapter 6, but yeah, it goes along with that idea that every time you perform a mitzvah, you're creating an angel. And every time you create an Aveira, you're creating also a negative angel, like a negative malach, that speaks, that accuses you. So, but anyway, that's it. Rambam's Mishnah Torah, the only full codification of Jewish law. All right, good night.